Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the first episode of the Polymerization Podcast. I am Nasir Khan. This is Tim. To my right is Josh. And we are starting a podcast that kind of talks about movies, pop culture, video games, pretty much what interests us. Pretty much about everything. Earlier on our car ride, we were getting some food after we picked up Josh, and we were talking about where Marvel might go now that Endgame has ended.
Yeah.
And I was kind of bringing up the whole, they've done Batman a bunch of times, Spider-Man, obviously, they've done a bunch of times. So they could potentially, redo the series as it is currently. What do you guys think?
The question was, Iron Man is officially gone, right? Are they going to redo the character, or are they going to bring his legacy to someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to revive him? Or I was thinking it'd be cool if they bring it to his daughter, right? They already had the setup ready in the beginning, the premise already.
Yeah, in Endgame, spoilers in case you haven't seen it, obviously, but it's been a few months.
Oops, already mentioned he's dead.
Iron Man pretty much has a daughter, and that's a big kind of motivator for the actions that he does in Endgame, or like kind of his what dictates some of his actions and sentiment. And like Tim said, definitely they kind of potentially set this daughter up to be the future Iron Man. And I definitely got the same exact thing. How would you feel about that?
A lot of, at least this whole phase thing, there's like a Thanos Endgame Infinity War storyline.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Marvel Comics. Does Tony Stark have a daughter in comics?
Dude, actually, I have no idea.
Because I feel like that'd be really important, because most comic book movies are adapted from some source material.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't have a daughter, then they'd be straying into brand new territory.
But you're opposed to that?
I'm just saying that's something to consider, because usually it's like based off something.
I get you.
Fans have something to go off of what to expect.
What could ever go wrong when a writer...
the writing of a character. Tony Stark's daughter. If you don't handle that right...
Yeah, you could end up with another Game of Thrones season.
Yeah. You joke, but look what happens in Game of Thrones season 8.
We don't talk about that.
At the same time, though, you would have to have like a time shift, right? Because his daughter's only like 5 years old.
Yeah, so for that to actually happen...
Then everyone else would get older.
Yeah.
Right? But then if we're continuing on the same storyline, then it would be Tom Holland.
I get that, yeah. So that...
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Iron Man.
That would be interesting to see. That would also be new territory.
New Iron Man?
Kind of
not being a new Iron Man, but I feel like he's integrating both Spider-Man and Iron Man, because now he has a suit.
He has the suit. He has resources.
He also
is
intelligent considerably.
Yeah.
Let's say she's a young child prodigy. Earliest would be 15. That's a 10-year gap.
The child.
For Morgan to grow up. Morgan Stark.
Yeah.
Let's say she's 15.
Okay.
That's about the age where she could actually characterize somebody.
He's 10 years.
Yeah. Peter Parker's no longer Peter Parker. He's like an old, disgruntled Spider-Man or whatever. He's not Peter Parker anymore.
He's gonna be like
he's
27.
like graduating
college.
college.
He's gonna be buff and stuff.
But it's not Spider-Man as we know him.
I get you. Wait, so
typically,
what are you saying?
I'm saying that it's probably unlikely that they would
put her
Morgan.
I feel that, which is why, like, I think of the people we've been introduced to now, having Tom Holland, the current Spider-Man, take his place. I could see that. He's introduced as an intelligent individual early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he has this connection, although he has a similar to like a father-son connection with Tony Stark.
He's a mentor to him.
Yeah. And he's intelligent. He has the gear too. Like, it was passed down to him. What about Pepper?
No, they need to scrap that idea. Like, they've already given her time.
I get you. I feel that entirely. I agree 100%.
But I feel like she was never really like a mainstay
to begin with. Sure,
I would be very
I'd be very surprised if they.
I get that. I feel like her too would potentially be even easier to do than Tom Holland in terms of like had they been prepping this. But
my vote would be Professor Hulk.
As Iron Man?
Not as Iron Man, but as the tech specialist. Because in every movie, for every new threat, the new gear was from Stark Industries.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
But his latest one, his nanotech gear, was from Shuri. Well, it wasn't from Shuri, but it was like...
Oh, that's
kinda,
fair. She is new.
She's still like the genius of Black Panther's world, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like she's like...
Oh, yeah, there have been talks, too, about
Exactly.
her. That would be interesting.
She's like the most tech-savvy person aside from Bruce Banner.
Yeah, plus she's had, like, years of this exclusive vibranium.
That's fair, too.
Yeah.
Like,
so that, she could potentially even turn it up to, like, the next...
I mean, I don't know if nanotech was from her directly.
I think, if anything, it was inspired by...
But the
like,
vibranium was, right?
Yeah.
If it's
I mean, well,
vibranium.
at least it's sourced from there. What if it were wrong? And they're just like, no!
Read the comics!
Yeah. That would be interesting. Would you guys want to see like a renewed, or are you both like too invested?
Not anytime soon, at
Really?
least.
I'm like completely opposed.
Would it be like you? Would it be something like you would want? Like, let's say, I don't know if you guys want kids. Maybe you guys do it. Would it be something like you would want that in the future, where like, you know, okay, I've been through this now once, and now I want.
I think that's inevitable. Like,
no, but like, it's so. Is it more so like, oh, this story hasn't concluded yet. I want more of this, or would you not mind?
I feel it's more of fatigue in my part
Of like new.
We've had, like,
You're saying you're tired of Iron Man?
I'm not tired of Iron Man, but
Get out.
we've had this like 20 something. The door's right there.
Exactly.
We've had like a 20 plus movie series
Yeah.
almost every year. I'm not saying we're tired of it, but it's been given a nice bow with Endgame, and I think Spider-Man Far From Home, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to officially wrap that up. The phase.
Is it really?
I don't know.
A phase 4
Interesting.
as opposed to like start off the new one.
Yeah.
So as far as a reboot, I think that's
Wait, so are you?
too much too soon?
Would you? So, are you saying you'd rather just have no movies, or like, still in this world? That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Just not with, not
storyline,
necessarily
but
with,
not scrap
like
everything.
without
and
Iron
reboot
Man,
it.
pretty much. Like you're saying, it's okay. Like, you know.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
you're suggesting a complete.
Yeah, well,
Start,
the
like
way
a reboot,
when you
essentially.
mentioned fatigue for a second, I thought you meant, oh, okay, like we've had so much of Marvel, almost one movie a year for X amount of years. It's been over a decade, I believe now, right? That we've had like
just about.
Yeah, I don't think the F word is proper.
I know. I think it's definitely proper because like you just finished this journey, and then I think for a studio to expect you again to start on it, I think that would be a little bit too much for me.
I get that,
And it wouldn't let me sit and
for
enjoy
sure. No, that's
this like you said, decade-long journey for what it is.
That's
think
why
they
I
should let
was
it
wondering
simmer.
though, like when you mean let it simmer, do you mean simmer by still developing these movies in otherwise unkind of explored territory?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
While so they're still pumping out movies,
yeah,
but just in this established universe with like
I don't
some
want
of
them
the
to just
people.
completely abandon.
So like
them.
let's say Thor. Well, Thor is going to be in Guardians, right? It's been confirmed he's going to be in Guardians.
Yeah.
Has it?
Yeah, I think they confirmed it's going to be Fat Thor for like a good percentage of.
Is it?
I think so.
I thought
Filming, I think,
I
starts next year.
Really?
Because it was announced he's taking a break. What's his name? Chris Hemsworth. Dude, if they brought Liam Neeson to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the new Tekken style.
Liam Neeson x Keanu Reeves. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if fatigue is the right word.
Okay, maybe
Because I feel like
fatigue.
a wrap up is probably the best because, after everything that he did in Endgame, especially his talk, his emotional talk in the beginning.
Yeah.
Talking about when he was talking with Captain America and he was like yelling at him. He brought up everything from the past.
Yeah.
And it was like warranted, right? Because he hated him for all that he did. It's like, you said that we lose the team and we did, right? Here we are.
Yeah.
I told you all this was coming and you didn't believe me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said you want to shoot around the world and you were against that. And then he gets to that point. Right?
Yeah.
So he has his character arc finishing up there.
Yeah.
With all his arguments. And then yet still, he saves everybody in the end. So it's like, that is just like the perfect way to end. It may not be what we wanted. I obviously didn't want Iron Man to die too, but it's just, we needed it.
I agree. The way they wrapped up his arc, the development, and like what it's been leading to and how they executed that, I for sure agree. It was a really nice kind of ending. I mean, albeit a little bit of a tragedy, like especially for him, he's one of the characters.
A little tragedy. He puts on every single Power Rangers.
Yeah.
A little tragedy.
I mean, the fact that this guy, Iron Man was one of the first movies, in this that kind of establishes Marvel universe as it is. And we've been following him. He's one of the more likable characters, like one of the fan favorites, in my opinion. Okay. You can argue the likable. I think fan favorite.
I would say he's the best fleshed out character
for sure, and
most likable, the most human, and most relatable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, who doesn't relate to a billionaire playboy for that?
Exactly.
I think that highlights just how great.
Yeah, no, is. I agree. Like for sure, that's why people say it's going to be hard to reinvent Tony Stark as any other character, because we've been accustomed to like everything about this Iron Man, from like his looks, his demeanor, everything, like, and we've grown and we've seen that develop over like the course of all these different movies. So for sure, and what I was kind of initially going on with when I like brought this up was, we've been following him for so long. It would have been nice to kind of see him get a happy ending. He's one of the arguably more important, or like, again, like I said, fan favorite. So it would have been nice to have at least him get a happy ending. But that being said, I still can respect and like I like, albeit like
the message that they kind of said. Like,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
for sure. Like I'm not complaining about the way they ended things with him, and I get that in terms of like, okay, well, it's you don't necessarily need to fill up that hole yet, because like we've experienced him, like at least we can still mourn, and like we don't have to try replacing him necessarily. Granted, if they did choose to like replace him, quote unquote, it would be like, I think the fan favorite potentially would be Tom Holland, just because like it it, although it wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been in terms of like, this is going to be my successor, we kind of got the beginning bits of that, and we see the importance of like Tom Holland's Spider-Man to Tony Stark.
Exactly.
So yeah,
because that was the reason why he went to time travel, because he saw his picture.
Sure.
Right.
I mean,
that wasn't the main reason.
That brings up a whole other topic. Like, comic books are wacky worlds. They've already introduced time travel. Doctor Strange is a character. Introduces a ton of possibilities with some weird shenanigans. Granted,
should we get into critiques of Endgame? You guys want to get into?
Yeah, let's do critiques. Okay, let's start with Hulk. He makes me the most frustrated.
I haven't fully developed whether I like or dislike him. I thought it was comical at a lot of different instances.
Yeah, he was funny at first, but then you take a step back, and it's like, when is Hulk gonna get his fourth fight with Thanos? He didn't even get a second fight. He got one fight, and Thor got 4 fights. Right? Thor fought in the beginning, and in the spaceship. He fought again in Infinity War.
Yeah, in Infinity War, when he comes down, he
comes down, fights it twice.
In the intro of Endgame, where he like cuts off his head.
Right, and then the fourth one from the
I
know that from somewhere.
Yeah,
I feel like that was intentionally done.
What?
For the sole fact that we have Thor as a character, like he has a pretty significant arc himself.
Yeah.
Whereas they kind of
threw aside.
They already had Hulk on the sideline.
Yeah.
And I feel like he got, although it wasn't what I have liked to see, granted, because he is Professor Hulk, that would have been cool. I feel like they would have been misappropriated.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did you guys get a feeling that Hulk was kind of dumbed down for this? Like, was it just me?
Or I feel like he was dumbed down because he was Professor Hulk, right? And like he still figured out the whole time travel thing, even though it's like, I can't really figure it out, to wait for Tony. But I don't think he was really dumbed down. I
don't think dumbed down would be accurate. I think it's just compared to what we've seen in the past.
Because one can argue he's almost like I feel like I might be misremembering or like just not fully remembering, but when we look at instances in the past, like with Age of Ultron too, I feel like he almost, like, even back then he might have played more of a supplementary role, quote unquote, to Tony Stark. They were both the brains, but I feel like I might be completely wrong about this because it's been a while since I've watched Age of Ultron, but I feel like even then, like, Stark was the one who was kind of like at the forefront and like, with the assistance almost of like, Banner. Was that the case? Am I just misremembering?
I mean, you have to consider that in story-wise, there was like a huge gap of time that we didn't get to see. The whole 5 years between the snap and what we saw after. And then in like Age of Ultron, Infinity War, other movies too.
Mm.
Hulk has always been like, or at least Bruce Banner
Mm.
has always been like the hunched over, kind of meek, timid, scientific guy. And then we see him
merged,
completely confident and like. Granted, he was used for comedic relief most of the time.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't say dumbed down would be accurate to say.
Yeah,
I just feel like a different light without proper transition.
Yeah, because like I get why they put Hulk in the beginning of Infinity War to set the standard for this is Thanos. Like Thanos ripped him apart. No stones, no powers, just straight physical ability. Right? That was fine. I really like that. But then I wanted a second part where like, okay, Hulk went to go train or something, or like he got stronger somehow to fight him back. But he never got that chance.
Yeah, no.
And his arm got freaking destroyed. Yeah, Infinity Gauntlet. Fine too, but gamma radiation stuff, he should be able to regrow it back somehow. Just make it up. Now when he gets an official fight. I don't care how they did it, but I wanted him to fight in the final war, like full on. I'm gonna go crazy.
I never understood the purpose of that.
Like Super Saiyan.
They like basically ripped Hulk from Infinity War. Like he doesn't make an appearance.
Yeah,
as Hulk.
Yeah, only
it's Bruce the entire time,
right?
And it's like okay, so like you said, it leads up to a redemption or like a comeback of Hulk, and then we kind of don't get that. So I don't know if that was
because they never explained why Hulk never didn't show up.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, was he scared?
It was. I think from what I got, it was implied that Hulk was scared, and that's why he wasn't. You know, but if they didn't.
But Hulk's scared.
I get that, but also you don't see Hulk get like completely destroyed.
I never considered that.
You never see Hulk get completely destroyed like he did when he went at the. When he went against Thanos, and so for me, I took that that's why that one scene where I think he was trying to like
Hulk out,
Hulk out, but then like as the Hulk, he said like, I'm like I don't want to or something like that. Yeah. I interpreted that as like, he's scared of Thanos. He doesn't want to like appear, and so like I guess they didn't flesh that out in terms of like what happened in the 5 years, but him like somehow how like Bruce Banner kind of like Professor Hulk becomes like how he becomes that. But I still agree though, like you would assume if you have that as the initial if you like establish that, you would expect some sort of redemption or like him being able to fight against it.
See, the Hulk be scared thing is fine, right? The fact that they set up for the whole movie that him scared.
I get that. See, I was waiting initially too. I remember I was waiting in Infinity War. Yeah. I like got the whole, at least I interpreted it as him being a little scared, but I was waiting even in Infinity War for him to eventually regain that back. Right? Yeah, and now that you bring it up, I initially during my first watch, I didn't really realize that. But now that you've brought it up, I kind of agree, especially looking back to Infinity War and how he's been absent pretty much that entire time aside from his introductory scene. I like looking back, I agree. I feel like there should have been some sort of resolution in terms of like him being able to have another fight.
Because so you're patient for him, right? Yeah. You're patient for him. At least I was. I was patient for him in the war. I was patient for him even when they were fighting Thanos in the end of Infinity War. It's like, okay, fine. Maybe he's scared all the way through. We'll get some kind of redemption in Endgame, right? Endgame comes along, and then Professor Hulk comes like, oh, dude, this would be crazy because now this is like his best form, right? And then Black Widow dies, who is like his love interest, right? So now he throws a bench because she dies, and that's it. That's all we get. I'm like, are you flipping kidding me? He like destroyed every Avenger in the comics at least. Like, I don't know, it was Planet Hulk or something. In one of those comics, his love interest died. And he went crazy and destroyed every Avenger and like destroyed the planet because of that. But in this time, he threw a freaking bench, dude.
Okay,
are you kidding me?
No. In the defense, I think the Russo brothers did their best, and I'm glad with what they did with what was given to them because they didn't direct Age of Ultron, and they didn't direct Avengers. What was the first one?
The first one with
just Avengers.
Just Avengers,
was it just Avengers? Okay, yeah. So like we get the whole Clint and Natasha storyline in the first Avengers. The second one, then they're like, okay, no, never mind. Clint has a family. Now it's Bruce and Natasha, and everybody gave a big WTF to that. Yeah, deservedly so, because I was like out of left field.
Yeah,
and then it was very briefly touched on, I think, in Infinity War. Like they have a very brief conversation. So I'm glad they didn't develop that or have it continue.
But if not, either way, like even if they weren't love interests, she was still part of his team, and she died.
I think where Tim is coming from is
like that's this very, very small, intimate family.
That brings me in transition. By the way, they should have, because we're talking about characterization of Hulk.
Yeah.
And then for some reason in Endgame we get more characterization of Clint as a character. With that, I think it was.
You thought you liked that?
I thought it was.
What?
I thought it was out of place, out of left field with the whole, specifically the Japanese.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Crime boss hunt. I feel like that was unnecessary. It felt honestly like it was cut from a different movie.
Yeah, it felt out of place to me for sure.
And again, they go back to the whole when Clint and Natasha go back to the whole to retrieve the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
That relationship, I don't know. It was. I feel like that could have been appropriated to another character with her.
Okay, maybe here's my take on it. I agree partially on the fact that it was taken out of left field because, like, if they developed it more from there, it would have been fine. But he went off killing all his people after his family died. Okay, I can deal with that, right? Here's the thing. Right afterwards, you're like, hey, you want to join the team? He's like, okay, and he comes back regular Hulk. It's like regular Hawkeye.
That whole
I'm
thing
like,
is so.
It could have been dark and it could have been really good, but they just put it there and it's like, come back to help us, and it's like, okay.
I'm not opposed to a descent into darkness, but I feel again the way it was introduced, you have this aside about what he did to the cartels or whatever, and then you suddenly see him in Japan, right?
Yeah, it was Japan.
Yeah, because Hawkeye's always a serious character, right? So you can see him doing that out of everyone else.
Yeah, see, I don't see the point of, like you said, I don't see the point of showing us that. Aside from
just toss it again. And especially at the end, he goes back to his family. Yeah. He's like a stone cold murderer.
You've changed, yeah. He's like, how do you just resume now? Like, I've done horrible things. What do I do?
But he has tattoos.
He just did it.
Yeah. It's fine. This is true.
Daddy, where'd you get those tattoos from?
Every piece of ink was a new person I've murdered.
That was... And then, again, the whole Avengers as a whole series. You have Clint in the beginning, then Civil War. Mm-hmm. He gives up his title, and then you bring him back again. It's just very jagged.
Yeah, it's like something about these like characters like that are kind of not really tossed aside, but they kind of put it aside, like Hawkeye and Hulk and stuff. Like I feel like they kind of did it because they're setting up for Phase 4. It's like these guys are still here, they're still alive. You can still do something with them. So I kind of understand why they did that, but at the same time, it doesn't really give him justice because Hawkeye does a lot in the comics too. Like in Ultron, he like saves everybody. But he got mind warped in the first Avengers, so it's like and this time
it's
could have
interesting
did
to
it.
see what plans they have, if any at all, major or minor.
Of the remaining characters, who do you guys think is like the next big one, or already the next?
Moon Knight.
Oh, like upcoming,
not upcoming. Like let's say
like the big 4, like we have or the big 6 right now.
Like we have Thor is still there. I don't know.
So for sure, major titles going forward are Spider-Man,
Doctor Strange,
Doctor Strange,
for sure.
There's a second Doctor Strange coming out soon, right?
Yeah. Doctor's coming out again. Potentially Ant-Man if they can go off for like another Ant-Man, but Ant-Man potentially could be another one.
Guardians is having. I'm sure they're not done.
Guardians gonna be big.
The Hokomura storyline
with Thor now.
Thor.
They open it, yeah.
Oh, let's finish with the other major characters. So we talked about Iron Man. We talked about Hulk. And then kind of touched on Black Widow and Hawkeye. But I want to go over Thor. Because I feel like he was actually, for me, even Iron Man's my favorite character. Thor is my favorite character arc. Because I feel like he's the most versatile actor. Like, he played so many different emotions throughout all his movies.
I could see that.
It was crazy.
Yeah. And like, a little bit of background. I wasn't as big of a Marvel fan. Mm-hmm. And it was Thor Ragnarok, which Josh still hasn't seen.
I admitted that.
We can't talk about that one, can we?
I have to take a back seat on this conversation because I'm missing a huge chunk.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok, we still talk about the other stuff. Because in the beginning, right, you get the stubborn, we still see that part, right? The stubborn Thor who's like arrogant but like super strong. Yeah. First time in the army. Well, not first time in the army, but the one leading all, as Guardians and stuff. Honestly, my favorite part of the whole movie was Thor's talk with Rocket in the spaceship. Rocket's like, he's like, oh, I gotta be captain now, and he goes back, right? He goes back to where Thor is, because Thor's like all depressed and stuff. Yeah. And then he's like, what's wrong with you? And then Thor's like, I'm ready to beat Thanos. He's like trying to show like his freaking courageous, stubborn, manliness side, right? But then Rocket's like, oh, what do you have to? I don't know how this gets brought up, but in the end, he just says something more. what do you have to lose? And Thor's like, nothing. And it's like freaking depressing. And it's like really sad.
Yeah,
I was really
legit.
emotional scene. He's like, I lost my mom, I lost my dad. My sister was crazy, but she died anyway.
Yeah.
I lost my brother, I lost my best friend, I lost everything. I have nothing to lose now.
Yeah, his freaking home.
Exactly. He lost his
like,
home, he lost all his people,
yeah.
he lost everything.
He lost his body.
Yeah. Yeah. He lost everything, and then it was like, even though the comedic relief was warranted, when Rocket was like, well, I have lots to lose. Before going to find the weapon for Thanos, but I don't know, Thor was just so good, dude. Other than Fat Thor,
you didn't like Fat Thor?
I didn't like Fat Thor.
Why?
I liked Fat Thor in the beginning because I thought it was gonna change. I thought, oh, that's funny. Like, it's the first time he's different, which is cool because it goes along Ragnarok because he was changing, right?
Yeah.
And I get the change, but I don't get why he didn't go back to his crazy buff form, strong form.
I feel like
in the end.
So,
I don't think it was too overt because even though he was fat, I think his end fight costume was still super badass.
Yeah,
That's
all
like the whole
metal racks
with the beard,
with the one pack, right? And one pack metal. Yeah, it's really cool.
It wasn't overt.